Hello, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Trash Talk. I'm here with a very, very special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
How's it going? My name is Turkey Tom. I do videos on YouTube. Thanks for having me, Samuel.
Yeah, it's all good. I really wanted to get you on. Like I said, like before we started, you're one of the biggest guests, and you're probably got some of the most interesting things to talk about, seeing just because you've got that number next to your name, right? You've been through stuff, you've talked about stuff. So I feel like for a lot of people, this might be an insight to you that they might have not seen before.
I hope so. I certainly hope it's entertaining and people enjoy listening to what you got to say, what I have to say. So yeah.
No, 100%. And I just want to jump straight into it with your video process. You make pretty lengthy videos, like some of them like 30, 40 minutes, right? What does your video timeline look like when you're creating like a piece of content?
In terms of the actual like Vegas timeline or like how long it takes to make a video.
Yeah, like how long it takes to make the video and like the script and stuff and like all of that stuff.
Well, it used to be a lot more inconsistent because it was just me working on the video. So it would be me working on a video. I'd like go from, I'd write the script and then I would record the audio and then all of that. And that maybe
Mhm.
used to take like um hmm, maybe 1 week at the shortest and then as much as like a few weeks at longest, like 3 or 4 weeks, maybe a month. That used to be how it
Mhm.
was. And then around I want to say 2021 maybe. I started, or maybe 2020. No, more like 2021. I started having more of a system where I would write all the scripts in like a few weeks. So I would write like 4 scripts for the month in like a few weeks, and
Mhm.
then I would get those videos edited over the next 2 weeks, and then I would repeat that over and over. So any video that was being released had been already done for like a month at that point in time, probably, because I was just getting them ready prior.
Mhm.
So that's how I would do it for a little while, and then the way I started doing it, sometime last year, I want to say, maybe June. Let me actually check my channel because I can't remember the exact date right now, but
You know.
I think it was, yeah, so it would have been around June, July, August last year, so just
Mhm.
summer. I started working with other people more, and I started hiring them to help me research, help me write. I was editing every single video until January, and now I have a person helping me edit as well. So now I do it on a monthly basis, basically, where I pick topics, I talk about it with the writers, the researchers. We talk about what we're going to do a video about. I lay out the topic, sort of the narrative I have. Sometimes they'll suggest topics as well. And we kind of collaboratively just talk about like what we want the video to be, what the arc of it is. I'll send them
Mhm.
sources I have if I have an idea of what I want to talk about within that video about that topic. If it's like a losers creeps pedos video, usually I'll have the entries beforehand, but sometimes they'll end up finding the entries on their own. And then they research it. We look at the outline together usually at that point, and then we decide how we feel with the outline, and then they write it. And then I go back into the writing. I make my own edits. I'll add things, cut things, and then I record that. And then, as I said, prior to the most recent thing is having an editor. Prior to
Mhm.
January, I would then edit every video, and that would probably take 3, 4, maybe 5 days max, depending on the length of the video. Just working like 6, 7 hours a day on editing exclusively. And then now that's turned into I hire an editor and then I get to do more Tom Dark stuff. So I give it to the editor edits it. Usually it takes him 4 or 5 days. And then I get
Mhm.
back to him with suggestions I have for changes I want to that. And then we post the video. So yeah.
Well, like, there's a lot that goes into one of those videos, right? Like, from what you're saying, there's a lot of people involved in the video making process, especially now, right? There's a lot of people, and I'm assuming you pay them, so there's a lot of money,
Yeah.
time, and effort that goes into this channel. So, something I do want to bring up that sort of connects to this is one of your most recent videos on the Ezra Miller situation got strike down, and seeing how much effort you do put into your videos, like, how does that affect you as a content creator?
I would be facetious if I were to say that that one video was like tanks my bank account or anything because I make, quite a bit of money and the
Hmm.
people I pay are making money regardless, right? I didn't like,
Yeah,
I wasn't like, give me the money back that I paid you
yeah,
for that
yeah.
video now that it's taken down. But it definitely sucks when I put, I mean, that video in particular, I probably had to spend like $3,000 to make it. And now,
Yeah.
I think the video earned maybe double that in ad revenue, but then it got taken down. And it's like, well, I probably would have actually made a lot more money if it hadn't been taken down through the copyright system. And I'm confident that video will go up, but obviously It's frustrating when you're your own creator just doing it, but it can get equally frustrating when you're working with people that are dependent on you to make content that makes money.
Yeah,
It's a collaborative effort, and then that money just goes down the fucking drain because one
yeah.
facetious claimant decides to go through with that. So definitely frustrating. But I you're always gonna have those roadblocks in any job, right?
No, 100%. And I feel, of course, just because there's so many moving parts, I guess if that strike maybe happened last year, like, would you be fair to say that it maybe would have affected you as a content creator more?
Depending on when, yeah. I mean, definitely like beginning of last year, I probably would have been more fucking pissed. But yeah, definitely, because like that would have tanked like a lot of the income for the month. But now that I have a bigger backlog, I make a lot of my money through that backlog, and so it's less financially. It impacts me less to have one video get taken down.
Well, I guess as well, you've also got like other income sources, right? You've got stuff on the Tom Dark channel, which I guess also helps supply money that goes, I'm assuming, directly to the main channel as well.
Yeah, so I mean, basically the way I like to think about it is the money earned from Tom Dark is separate. So with that
Hmm.
channel, I actually have an editor as well now. So I use a portion of that money to pay him, and we're actually starting this month. We're going to a percentage-based model. So instead of paying him a flat rate, it's like a percent of the income of the channel goes to him.
Yeah.
So that should incentivize him ideally to, work harder on the channel and stuff like that. Because the better it does, the more money he makes. So we're switching to that, but yeah, I think it's important to have other income streams if you can. And I'm even I won't reveal anything about it right now, but I'm hopefully going to be getting another channel off the ground in not too long that
Oh,
will
wow.
be another stream. So just trying to make the most content possible.
Well, like I guess you have to be efficient, especially with the type of videos you make. You said that like you do put quite a bit of money in for those sort of videos, right? So I guess having as many streams of like monetization and monetary gain as possible is almost something you need to do. Not to keep afloat, but it's almost nice to just have that there, just in case something does go wrong with like the main channel or another income source. So you've always got that to fall back on.
Yeah, I think that when you're a creator, when you're an artist, I know not all artists have this approach to it, but I think it's when you're a creator in one of these sort of fields, it's important to maximize two things. It's just to, I look at it as sort of a two-pronged thing. It's like maximize the quality of the work, and also maximize the, potential for gain that it has for you and the people who work on that,
Yeah.
art with you. So I'm always trying to make the best content, but I'm also always trying to balance like, well, how can I get the most out of that content? And so I think that's just, very important to consider when you're putting stuff out on YouTube. If you want to make it, a living in any sort of way, you should be trying to make the most money possible. I think that you're really doing a disservice to yourself if you're not.
No, 100%. I feel like you've almost been able to capitalize off of like your success with your main channel to be able to create these other branches of income. So it almost just feeds back into your main channel. It helps you out just in the long term as well. So no, 100%. Like I feel like if you're a content creator and you're not maybe capitalizing on your success or your name or for whatever reason, right? I feel like you're almost wasting that opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I definitely see it that way as well.
Well, and like I do want to speak a bit about like after just speaking to you about like the video process and stuff and about
Mm.
like how like the monetary gain and like all of that sort of stuff, editors and the video creation process. I want to speak to you about maybe like the mental toll some of the videos take. Is there any like videos like your Degenerate series that sometimes may take a mental toll on you?
I mean, definitely talking about that stuff is a little dark, having to think
Hmm.
about the worst sides of humanity as far as your job. But I think if you just have a good separation from the content and stuff like that and don't get too emotionally invested, typically you'll find yourself okay. So, yeah, but definitely, I mean, some of that stuff, especially early on when I was researching it for
Yeah.
like this, like the furry videos early on, like when I was researching the Sappho video and writing that one, or when I was writing the Kira the Wolf video, it was like, this is some of the darkest shit I'll ever have to see in my life.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I guess when it comes to that, it's almost hard to separate it, right? Because you're almost spending so much time researching it, looking into it, and then making the video. Do you almost get, I don't know, like if this would be the right way to frame it, but almost too invested in it, right? You almost find out too much about the situation to the point where, like, where you're making that video, it sort of like takes over your life in that video creation aspect.
Oh yeah, and I would say it's for the best for most people to not get too emotionally invested because
Hmm.
you don't know these people involved in
Yeah.
the videos you're making, so you don't want to And especially if you get too emotionally invested, you can also make mistakes, or sorry, rather missteps when you're researching and stuff like that, or you cannot see things so clearly. So it's best to try to keep a level head about that kind of stuff and not get too emotionally involved.
No, 100%, because I feel like not only can that have a negative toll on the video, but just you as a person, right? If you spend all your time being really heavily emotionally involved in a video topic, which is considerably dark, I 100% see the like outcome that maybe it can really affect your mental health in that aspect.
Yeah, a little bit, but yeah. I mean, I think it could, especially if I was weaker minded mentally. But I've taken the
Hmm.
steps to ensure that I'm not prone to depressive episodes or anything like that anymore. So I think that I'm not so affected by that kind of dark stuff anymore.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like, especially with the type of videos you do, you have to almost have to build up their mentality, right? Like you couldn't go into that having that weak mindset and let yourself get too over invested into it and then end up being a wreck. So I feel like, of course, with the type of videos you make, you almost have to build that up as you go along.
Well, I think if the only thing you're thinking about too is this really dark shit, then you're probably going to be kind of depressed and down and black-pilled about
Yeah.
it. But if you make an active effort outside of the content to I don't know, go to the gym or go for walks, which is just what I do. Or have healthy relationships outside of YouTube,
Hmm.
then you'll be fine. But if the only thing you're thinking about are these like child molesters and furries and whatever else
Yeah.
from your videos, then you probably will be, feel kind of bad.
Well, I guess as well, like in terms of YouTube as well, you've almost got like other channels like Tom Dark to almost blow a bit of steam off, right? Like when it comes to Tom Dark, they're not these like highly edited, researched videos like what they take like a lot of time and money to make, right? So I
Hmm.
guess almost like these other sources of like what you do, like streaming and other bits, right? They almost give you a little time to blow off like in a creative way.
Hmm. Yeah, I think yeah, Tom Dark is definitely one of those projects that I've always come back to over the past, I don't know, 2 years that I started it
Hmm.
as a place to just talk shit, and that's kind of what commentary to me in the beginning was about, and I'm glad to
Yeah.
return to form there a little bit. It's a nice break, and not everything there has to be so serious, so that's another pro to it.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I feel like I've spoken a lot about the video creation process, like the mental toll some of it has on you, right? But is there any content that you've created that you've later regret like making?
Yeah, definitely. Let me see here. I think the instant one that a lot of people will say that I regretted is the pyrocynical videos. I actually don't regret
Hmm.
those, but there definitely are videos I regret, especially when I was younger, just because, I mean, optically they looked bad or I didn't understand the consequences of
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
what I was doing in those videos and stuff like that. So definitely there were videos, especially when I was younger. And here and there, there's videos that I'm like, oh, I don't like that point I made, or I don't like the arguments I made in this video or that video, but that's just kind of life. And especially, not to excuse anything I've done, but when you're younger, you're going to change a lot and you're going to go through a
Yeah.
lot of phases with your opinions and beliefs. And so,
Hmm.
when you're in my case, as someone who's been posting a lot of that online, and thankfully I had the foresight to not post all of it online, but when I've been posting a lot of it online, obviously some of that here and there will be kind of, cringe or whatever. But,
Hmm.
some of it ages like milk, but that's okay. That's just life. I've kind of
No,
come to terms
100%.
with that.
Yeah, like I feel like as just humans, we always have our opinions change, and we almost cringe at stuff, even if it's pretty recently when we look back at it. So I feel like it's impossible not to regret any sort of like video and content you posted. And you did briefly just mention the paracynical stuff, and that you didn't like regret posting any of the stuff you did. Do you think that like people like watching you almost like think that it was like a regret of yours, when in reality it just really isn't?
I'm sure people have their own interpretations of those events, and obviously I haven't like
Mhm.
made another video about it since then, so I'm free to let them, or I'm
Yeah.
content letting them think what they want. But yeah, I mean, maybe some of them think I regret it, maybe some of them think I don't. I think a lot of people think that I like am being stubborn about it and think that I'm in the wrong, but like I won't apologize or something, which just isn't the case. But yeah, I mean, with high profile situations like that, people will have their own interpretations, and you kind of just have to accept that at a certain point if you're not going to try to combat them, right? Which obviously I haven't tried to do since the original event went down. So yeah.
No, 100%. And I feel like at that point, when you get to a certain level in content creation, for you as well as like whatever the audience like backlash or response might be, it's almost impossible to a certain extent to respond to a lot of that, even if you wanted to, right? Like mentally, physically, you don't have the time and effort to be able to respond to all of the responses and people's reactions to it. It's almost like you have to not ignore it, of course, but sort of just like push past it and continue doing like what you're doing in your videos and like what you're doing in your content creation.
Of course, yeah. I mean, there comes a point when there's just, I mean, not to sound narcissistic or anything, but there comes a point when there's just too many people talking about you to really try and give a shit,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So yeah.
Well, like I guess it's really different when you like get to a certain level in YouTube, right? Well, when you have one subscriber and someone's talking about you and like talking about you on Twitter or whatever platform it may be, it almost affects you more because it is just one very like vocal person who, like, out of a lot, is probably going to reach you more easily because you've got like that lower subscriber count. Whereas like when you've got like 700,000 subscribers, like there's probably going to be a lot more like hate coming towards you, but it's almost goes unnoticed just because you've almost got that more positive outlook as well of those people commenting and saying they enjoy your videos and stuff. So I guess it's almost that split.
Yeah, I think when you're new to getting backlash on the internet, it's easy to fixate on it, but I think that you have to just I mean sometimes I'm not saying you should never respond or something like that,
Hmm.
There's that funny Sunny V2 thumbnail with the baby where it's like never respond. And I'm not saying you should never respond,
Yeah.
but I think that most of the time you probably should just ignore it because it doesn't matter and the people, those people's opinions are usually worthless.
Hmm.
Assuming you're a reasonable person and like not some kind of crazy nut job. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's like decent sized call outs about me on Twitter, like every time I drop a video, saying,
Hmm.
"Oh, he did this or said this," and I just ignore it, and it doesn't matter. These people's opinions don't go beyond Twitter because it's very easy to make an opinion that sounds good in a tweet, and get like 5,000
Yeah.
likes. But as far as actually conveying that in like some kind of video form, those people have a hard time usually. So their opinions just stay to Twitter. So I just, for the most part, focus on the domain that actually matters and is my job,
Hmm.
which is YouTube.
No, 100%. And as well, like I feel like it really depends the genre of content creation you're in, right? We do commentary, like you do commentary videos. I feel like for you to then like have like maybe like a Twitter outburst or like whatever outburst it may be, whatever your opinion may be, it almost looks bad just because of the content and the genre you're a part of. Where if you're some like Roblox gaming YouTuber, right, it doesn't really look out of the blue. So I feel like it really depends, like subscriber count, like the reaction stuff that you have to it, that really defines like the rest of like the backlash you get from a situation.
Of course, yeah. And I mean, thankfully I'm not too prone to like emotional instability or
Yeah.
being impulsive, but some people definitely are, and I sympathize with them a little bit because I think that they have a hard time dealing with, a bunch of people breathing down their neck on the internet.
No, 100%. And like for you, like content wise, when you do drop a like big video, and just for the future of your content, are you pretty content like where you're at with like the main channel, or is there something that you do want to go on to do? Is there any like big video that like maybe you want to do that you haven't really got around to doing yet? Or have you got, like you said, have you got a lot of like videos like already in the bank, sort of like saving up?
There's a lot of ideas I have that I want to do that I will be doing in the future. There's some bigger
Hmm.
projects I'll do that will have higher production value. I think that I'm looking forward to hopefully getting out. But I'd say I'm content. In terms of like I'm not unhappy with the content I'm putting out, but I'm also not
Yeah.
entirely satisfied. I definitely want to push boundaries a little bit and make stuff that goes outside the realm of like what people know I'm capable of now.
Hmm.
Because I think at this point, most people know that I'm capable of putting together a pretty decent 40-minute, video essay type thing.
Yeah.
And I'd like to get to that next level of documentary making at some point in the near future. And I'm looking forward to that. So, got to grind a little more, got to keep putting out
Yeah.
videos and building the brand. But at a certain point, there should be some more high production stuff coming out that I'm excited to put out.
Yeah, 100%. And I guess with like where you're at, it's always good to experiment, right? Change things up, like with whatever it may be, thumbnails, titles, or whatever like may work for you. Just like experiment a little more. And I feel like it's always the stuff that you end up regretting is the stuff that you never did, right? Like I feel like if you don't experiment, then you're likely to not get anywhere because you're not taking that risk in like diving into new stuff. So for you, is experimenting with like video topics, just like the style of video you do, is that like a big factor, or do you just like sort of just like stick to what you know works?
I think experimenting is important if you want kind of break out of your genre or get to that next level, because it's easy to get comfortable with one style of thing, but either one of two things can happen from that. One is that you just
Hmm.
kind of plateau in terms of popularity, and maybe you always make content for a certain audience that enjoys that, but you never really get much above beyond that. And then when you try to experiment now and then, let's say after a year of posting one kind of content, you try to experiment and fucking bombs, right? So that's one thing that can
Hmm.
happen. The other thing that can happen is that your content starts to fall off because people get bored of the formula you were doing because it was very sort of trendy at the time, but then it just stopped working. So, in terms of topics, I'm always trying to make an update in terms of what I talk about. Like I recently did a video about Joe Rogan, which is kind of out
Hmm.
of character for my channel because he's a more mainstream celebrity. I did a video about some murderers, which is once again kind of not usually what I talk about. And then I just did two videos about Twitter art type people, which once again I haven't done a ton of artist type people on my channel. And I think the reason why is just because I want to prove myself as someone who can put out content. Me and my team, rather, people can put out content on a variety of topics rather than just being pigeonholed to one subject matter. I want to be known for making good videos all around. So that's part of that.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I feel like if you don't like experiment, do like topics that you wouldn't normally do, right? I feel like you would almost get categorized as, oh, that's the guy that makes those degenerate videos, right? Or that's the guy that does this. Like, where you almost want to be like have a diverse audience when it comes to your content that may know you for different things instead of just one topic. So I 100% get that. And for you, just in content wise, like we've spoken a lot about like maybe videos you regret and like the mental toll. But like, let's look at the positives of your videos. Like, what's a video that you put out there that you genuinely thought is maybe your best video?
My best video. Let me just go through my channel for a second because there's been the Andy Dick video. I like a lot. I like the editing. I
Hmm.
like the writing. I like the pacing. That video is really great. The Isabella Janke video I like a lot. I
Hmm.
haven't seen it in a while, but I'd probably say my old video about Ethan Klein is a good one. So all of those are pretty solid videos that I like a lot. Honestly, more recently, I really like the Rice Gum video I put out.
Yeah.
So all of those four I'd say are good picks if people want to get an introduction to my channel that I'd say are some of the best.
100%, especially the rice gum, right? Like that's a very like recent video, and it's a video that got a lot of people talking interestingly, especially on Twitter, about rice gum and about like commentary, and more importantly, like the state of like a lot of those old commentators, right? Like rice gum, iDubbbz, and a lot of them. It's a video that 100% has some like interesting factors to it, and just got people talking overall as well.
Yeah, I mean the thing I like about that video too is I've always had an interest in being a commentator, or sorry, being a commentator that talks about other commentators, which is kind of a niche thing,
Hmm.
if you think about it. But back in the day when I was starting YouTube, some of the people that were blowing up were like I'm Alex and Kavos and
Yeah.
I guess like Wild Spartans, VWQ, and these were all people who talked about like inter-commentary drama, which is like talking about something that's talking about something that's talking about something. It's like so many layers removed, and it sounds so, I mean, retarded on its face, but
Hmm.
something about that just always was appealing to me, and I don't really know why, but I've always cared about that little community and what it's transformed into, which I
Hmm.
guess I'm sort of a member of now. And I was glad that video did well because it showed to me that people still have an interest in that kind of video, right? Talking about the rise and fall
Yeah,
of
100%.
someone who covered that kind of stuff.
Well, like for you, like being like interested in all that, it's almost weird because a lot of people don't really speak about like other like commentators now, like bigger commentators. A lot of it is now like topic commentary sort of stuff, like commentary that you almost know will like do well in the analytics, where a lot of people just don't really focus on like that intercommentary stuff anymore. And
I
is that
think
something?
that is coming
Yeah.
back, honestly. I think it is.
Well, like, would you like to like expand on that? Because that was genuinely going to be my next question. Like, do you think with like that form of commentary, do you think that that's sort of on the rise within like just YouTube in general?
Well, I think that everything has kind of waves and it ebbs and flow, every trend,
Hmm.
every in culture and society, and I think that sort of a micro case of that would be in commentary. Every few years, you have this group of commentators that comes and like shits on all the other ones and then blows up, right?
Yeah.
And right now, I mean, channels like Sunny V2, I guess my channel's probably included.
Hmm.
Maybe like Patrick CC, all these like essay channels have blown up and been successful for a while. But eventually, the people that don't like those videos are gonna get mad at them, and they're gonna start their own little shit storm and shit talk them and get their own audiences, and then maybe they'll blow up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's on one hand, I'm looking forward to it. On the other hand, I'm not looking forward to getting a bunch of shit for being a part of this video essay thing. But, you know, it's kind of part of the ebb and flow of culture. I think you just have to kind of go with it and deal with it the best you can when it comes. But definitely, I've noticed a lot of like anti-Sunny V2 sentiment recently and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I've noticed a lot of anti-commentary channel in general sentiment. So I'm curious to see how that manifests, because I'm sure it will.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I feel like a great example of this that is like very like going on right now, is short commentary, something that blew up like a lot last year, still blowing up right now, and gets very like well in the shorts algorithm. But a lot of people hate on it and dogpile on it, and it is really interesting to see the dynamic between the people that do these shorts that almost backtrack a lot of what they say and what they do with their content, just because of the sheer amount of hate they get from the people that used to enjoy their content, or the people that never really enjoyed shorts and thought it was a cop out. So I feel like it's living proof of stuff that's going on right now, of how quickly things can change with, especially within commentary.
Yeah, I'm sure, and maybe some of the small commentary channels right now will, you know, be on that cutting edge of blowing up. It's funny to talk to guys like you who you have like 40K on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
I assume a lot of your buddies. Do you have like friends on Discord and stuff? I'm not super
hmm
familiar with your channel. I assume you have like friends on Discord who are doing
Yeah.
commentary and stuff like that. How old are you?
hmm
Like you're 15, 16?
Yeah, I'm 16.
Okay, yeah. So, a lot of your friends probably have like 300, 400 subscribers. And I remember being at that stage and thinking that it would be crazy to blow up or something like that. But I was definitely determined to do it. And I remember, you know, we all hated on the bigger commentators back then, and we shit talked them on Skype and Discord when that, you know, was around like 2016,
hmm
17, whatever. And I just overall remember the feeling of being at the bottom and like looking up at the top, and then realizing that there is like a path forward. I'm to this day I'm kind of nostalgic for that time in my life, just like early high school, talking to
Yeah.
kids on Skype. I still remember a lot of their names. Pretty much all of them are gone now. The kids I was friends with when I had like 80 subs or whatever.
hmm
But it was a funny time, and it's funny to see that cycle repeating to this day with people still making videos. In that kind of vein, like
Yeah, yeah.
shitting on other people, and you know, wanting to do interviews with bigger commentators. It's fun. It's fun.
No, 100%. And I feel like for me as a content creator, right? I feel like I'm just slowly getting out of that, like, not phase or era, but just like that sort of like style of commentary where it's almost like sort of like sitting on Discord, like not being resentful of like other like commentators, but almost like just like dogpiling on them in VCs and stuff. Where I genuinely want to make an impact, like with my content and stuff. So I 100% like get you with all that sort of stuff. I remember when I had just like 100 subscribers, and I'd just be chilling with a bunch of people that didn't even have a channel but wanted to make a channel. And it's almost that vibe that I feel like is very like within commentary at least. It's a vibe that's definitely coming back stronger as new people like really enter in like to this like sphere of content creation.
Yeah, I mean, if my advice means anything to you and the people, you know, watching, I guess, like maybe
hmm
smaller commentators, I assume you have some of them in your audience. I would
Yeah.
say, the number one important thing to do is just be consistent, try to always get better, and not stop posting. Because if you stop posting, you'll never make it. But if you just keep posting, then there's always a chance. So yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like that's like a great sentiment to like almost end off on, right? Like I feel like it's great to see like just even like a bigger commentator succeed. Like whenever I speak about bigger commentators, like I feel like your name always gets brought into the mix with like bigger commentators like Sunny V2, like almost like some of the shorts ones as well gets brought into it. And your name is almost always there for like the new commentators that are up and coming. So like
Sure.
this will generally be my last question. Like for you, how does it feel being like someone who did watch commentary and like was there like for like the earlier stuff to be now seen as one of those people that is almost leading commentary in that sort of way?
Yeah, it feels good. I mean, I try not to feel egotistical about it, because at the end of the day, like it's not like I'm leading any kind of cultural
Yeah, yeah.
anything. It's dumbass commentary videos, but I
hmm
mean, you know, definitely from looking back, you know, 6 years ago. I mean, I'll be 21 this year. I was like
hmm
14 when I started making videos, 13. It's crazy to look back and just see my whole past, and realize that, you know, how far I've come, and also that there's a lot in the future. So hopefully
Yeah.
anyone watching this can, I don't know, take some inspiration from that. If you watch my old videos, they're fucking just like asshole, like
Yeah.
fucking ass crack awful. Like they're the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. So if you watch those and can see that I, got to some level now, maybe that'll give
Mhm.
you a little encouragement to do it yourself. So I hope people can do that.
Yeah, 100%. And I really do appreciate you coming on the podcast. Like you sort of said about like people like smaller commentators wanting to get bigger people on the podcast and like that do interviews. Like I never thought I'd be able to speak to someone like you yourself who does have like a busy schedule with videos and stuff. So no, I really do appreciate you taking your time out of your day to come on like this small commentary podcast.
No worries, Samuel. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no worries. And for everyone watching today's episode of Trash Talk, there'll be a brand new episode of Trash Talk out next weekend. But for now, I've been your host, Samuel, and I'll catch you in the next episode of Trash Talk.